With it counting accidentally. This video is called Record NFL Contracts and Bond Mutual Funds. CeeDee Lamb's contract. So Cowboy wide receiver CeeDee Lamb got the bag, as the saying goes. So it's late August of 24. He signed a 4-year, $136 million deal, and according to ESPN, he gets $38 million up front as a signing bonus, the largest ever given to a wide receiver, and $100 million guaranteed, according to sources. So how confident is CeeDee Lamb he's going to get paid? How solvent are the Dallas Cowboys? Well, he can be pretty confident. So here's an overview of the revenue and expenses for the Cowboys. According to Sportico, each of the 32 NFL teams received just over $400 million from the league office in 2023. They're getting more this year. That does not include Cowboy ticket sales, and you have to consider that the Cowboys are one of the most popular teams in the league and get huge revenue from ticket sales, merchandise, other things. So what costs do the Cowboys have to cover? 2023, the salary cap was $224 million, with each club also on the hook for 9 figures worth of player benefits, stadium costs, other team expenses. So all that being said, NFL teams have more than enough revenue to cover expenses. You can have a similar discussion when you're investing in bond mutual funds, and that is, of the bonds that are in the portfolio, how much revenue is the company creating, and do they have enough to repay principal and interest on your bond? So let's talk about secured and unsecured bonds and what those differences are. So a secured bond is backed by specific assets such as a building or equipment. If a bond issuer misses a principal or interest payment, those assets are sold specifically to repay bondholders for any principal and interest payments that were missed. So that is a secured bond. An unsecured bond is simply backed by the issuer's ability to pay. So if you think about if you use an unsecured credit card repayments are simply based on your ability to pay, your creditworthiness, your income, and your history of paying on time. Same thing with bonds. So for unsecured bonds, think about a credit card. Now, U.S. Treasury bonds are unsecured, but they are backed by the federal government's ability to raise revenue to repay the bonds. Therefore, Treasury bonds carry the highest credit rating, even though they're not secured. Why? Because the federal government has the ability to raise taxes to repay the bonds. So as a result, it has the highest rating. So speaking of ratings, let's talk about that next. Bond credit ratings. What is a bond credit rating? It measures the issuer's ability to repay all principal and interest payments on time. There are several private independent rating agencies. I'm going to use Standard & Poor's or S&P. Standard & Poor's rates bonds from AAA at the highest down to D, which is the lowest. U.S. Treasuries, as I mentioned, are rated AAA. If a bond issuer is close to defaulting or not paying, the principal and interest payments for that would be rated C or D. Now, you'll hear investment advisors talk about investment grade bonds. These are rated from AAA down to BBB minus from Standard & Poor's. Many financial pros, including people that I've known over the years, won't recommend anything rated lower than investment grade because they don't want to expose their clients to too much risk of a bond not being paid. So many investment advisors will only recommend investment grade bonds. So let's go to an example. This happens to be Vanguard investment grade bond fund. It's actually their intermediate investment grade fund, which means they've got bonds with maturities between, say, 7 and 15 years. So here's the asset allocation. You can see it's nearly 82% bonds. That is for U.S. companies and the U.S. federal government. 17.6% foreign bonds. You see a small amount of convertible bonds. I've talked about convertible bonds on different videos. So that's the type of investment you may use if you're investing in a bond fund. If you're having a discussion with an investment advisor about bonds, remember that investment grade bonds are of the highest quality, and ask your investment advisor if you should stay with only investment grade bonds.